Now I don't know about you, but these last 2 weeks since the American Grand Prix have felt longer than sitting through one of Paul di Resta's lectures on why Max Verstappen is the greatest human of all time. Thankfully then, this weekend we got to return to Mexico for round 18 of the 2021 Formula 1 season, and to make things even better, Paul di Resta wasn't even there. Hey there guys, I'm Will and welcome to FP1, the channel that thankfully no longer sounds like I have a smoking addiction, and welcome to the comedy review, where as I said earlier, the F1 circus headed over to the Autódromo Hermanos Rodriguez, home of the Mexican Grand Prix. The circuit would be back on the calendar for the first time since 2019, which was good news for Red Bull, given that it's been a strong track for them in the past. As a result, we were expecting Verstappen to dominate the weekend coming into this one. Yeah, look, I won't lie, I was trying to jinx things here, which, yeah, went well. Anyway, might as well throw this in now, but if you end up enjoying the video, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel. We're aiming for 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and though me being dead all of last month hasn't helped things much, I'd really appreciate it if you helped us get closer to that goal. Right then, I think it's about time for a title card, don't you? So usually this is the point in the review where I go into all the news heading into the weekend, but I won't lie, it's been fairly quiet this time. The only real story of note was Andretti attempting to buy out the Alfa Romeo F1 team, which for a long time looked like it would go through, making them the first American team on the grid since Haas got invaded by the Russians. In the end though, Alfa tried asking for more money, so Andretti told them to go f*** themselves. Though if I'm honest, I doubt this will be the last time we hear about this one. This, I guess, brings attention back to who will sit alongside Porridge Man in the final seat for 2022, with Antonio Giovinazzi still thinking he has a chance against Guan Yu Moneybags over here. To which I say, oh, enjoy DTM, mate. I hear Lawson gave it smashing reviews. Now, with that out of the way, let's actually get into the on-track action, starting with FP1. Obviously, the driver everyone was talking about was of course Sergio Perez, with this weekend being his home race. In other words, if you showed up wearing anything that wasn't a number 11 Red Bull cap, I imagine you were shot and left in the trench outside the circuit. Speaking of being horribly killed, Perez decided that he would poke the bear that is Helmut Marko in first practice, rear-ending his car into the wall at the final corner. Charles Leclerc then decided he would do that as well, meaning both men lost considerable track time as a result. Neither of those teams would find themselves on top come the end of the session though, with that honour going to Mercedes and Valtteri Bottas, who led #Blessed and the Dutch Messiah after the first hour in Mexico. The championship leader would bite back in second practice, dominating the session, finishing half a second clear of Bottas in P2. It would be a fairly quiet one though, with the only moment of note being Seb Vettel daydreaming that he was in the better car as he drove into the McLaren pit box. With Friday covered then, let's jump into Saturday, and FP3 would see home hero Checo Perez top the session with Verstappen making it a Red Bull 1-2. It wouldn't be so plain sailing however for the Milton Keynes-based team, with Max suffering from a broken rear wing on his side of the garage. Having fixed this with what appeared to be duct tape, the team opted to give the damaged rear wing to their Checo Perez for qualifying onwards. So we might as well talk about qualifying while we're here then, and Q1 would end up being a disrupted session, after Lance Stroll took the anything you can do, I can do better approach coming through the final corner. Also, hats off to the guys on Twitter who spotted Stroll spinning over the line still produced a faster lap time than Nikita Mazepin's attempt. And speaking of, it's time for Haas Watch.
Bunch of wanko.
I really do need to start thinking of new segments on this show, don't I? Anyway, the Haas pair were at it again after a shock performance on Friday, with both cars pointing the same direction all day for the first time in what seems like forever. Mad Lad Maz would still get himself in the headlines in Q1 though, after arguing with his team over the running order as they prepared for their final laps. One brave Haas mechanic denied the Russian on the radio, and I'm now hearing reports that the body of said mechanic was found in the early hours of this morning under suspicious circumstances. To cheer Maz up a little bit, the team congratulated him for setting the slowest lap of anyone who didn't cross the line in multiple pieces. Moving on to Q2, Antonio Giovinazzi proved why he deserved the 2022 Alpha seat over Guan Yu Zhou, the Italian finding himself out alongside his teammate Kimi Raikkonen, Ocon, Russell and Sebastian Vettel. Meanwhile, Lando Norris would only just squeeze into Q3, though the Briton would start from the back anyway due to an engine penalty. What this did mean, however, was that he could now act as Daniel Ricciardo's slave in the final part of the session, giving the Aussie a slipstream in order to push him further up the grid. Danny Ric would just miss out on P6 in the end, instead sitting in a Ferrari sandwich come the Grand Prix on Sunday. Up at the front though, things were getting spicy, with Mercedes finally ditching their sandbags and looking rapid after the first Q3 runs. Max Verstappen on the other hand had a scrappy first lap, and needed nothing to go wrong during his final run if he wanted to secure pole. Cue Yuki Tsunoda, who continued to act as Mercedes' undercover operative after going off and ruining both Red Bull drivers' laps in the process. As the Japanese driver was taken to Christian Horner's dungeon, his sacrifice meant that Mercedes locked out the front row for Sunday, Bottas pipping Hamilton to P1. After the session, Bottas was handed an extra reward in the form of one of Fangio's helmets. Look, I didn't get the point of this, and Valtteri also looked awkward as but hey, at least he took it in his stride, eh? So all we're left with now then is the Grand Prix on Sunday, so let's not waste any more time and jump straight into things. It was a fairly even start at the front, and in the long run down into turn 1, Hamilton, Bottas and Verstappen were 3 wide, and it was at this point that all hell broke loose, as before the race it was announced that drivers would be forgiven for cutting turn 1 on the first lap. Daniel Ricciardo clearly wanted to give this a try, though seemed to ignore the Valtteri Bottas sized roadblock in front of him. The result was Ricciardo losing his front wing and Bottas spinning to the back, all while Esteban Ocon sent both Mick Schumacher and Yuki Tsunoda into the stratosphere. Bottas and Ricciardo pitted for repairs as the safety car was called out, which would be the start of a painful 71 laps for the Finn, who spent most of the race staring at the diffuser of the Aussies' McLaren. As the race restarted, Verstappen would soar off into the distance, as Hamilton was left to defend from Sergio Perez, which, if you think about it, kind of summed up the whole race from there on out. Like, you know it's been a bit of a dull one when the F1 website's highlights of the race include Perez and Hamilton disagreeing on their tyres over the radio. Honestly, I wish I had more to talk about. Like, somehow Monaco was more interesting than this one, and that just had one overtake that the incredible race directors never even showed us. Hey, fast forward to the end of the race and Bottas was pitted to try and steal the fastest lap from Red Bull and Verstappen. When he instead got tripped up by the Red Bull, they decided to just pit him again. Oh Christ, my guy's gonna love Alfa Romeo. In fairness to Mercedes, this did in fact work, and after 71 laps of sleep therapy, Max Verstappen took home his 3rd Mexican Grand Prix win. Not gonna lie, it's looking pretty good for the Dutchman at the moment, but there's still 4 races to go, so anything can change heading into the last stretch of the 2021 season. So apologies for the slightly shorter comedy review this week. Fingers crossed we can get a better weekend next time out in Brazil. If you did enjoy the video though, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel as well, as all that really helps me out. And if you want to hear even more from me, then you can drop me a follow over on Twitter and join the Discord community, all links for which you can find down in the description below. Anyway, that's all from me. I'll see you soon with another video, but until then, have a good one.